Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of In Conversation with CCW Europe, the podcast series bringing together the leading and brightest minds in the worlds of customer experience and customer management from across Europe. I'm Simon Hall, your host and industry analyst at CCW Europe, and today I'm delighted to be joined by the amazing Sarah Williams, the Chief Customer Experience Officer at Westminster City Council. Sarah, welcome. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Delighted to have you on. And so to get things rolling for both the benefit of myself and our audience, can I ask you to give us a quick introduction and some insights into the professional path you've taken to get to where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. So as you said, I'm Chief Customer Experience Officer at Westminster City Council. I've been working in customer experience for over 25 years now. Started off in outsourcing, banking, and then moved into public sector where I've been for about 15 years now. Like many in our industry, I started on the phones, but I've had the absolute privilege to have an exciting and varied career that's kept me interested.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great stuff. And so let's dive a bit more into your work at Westminster City Council then. Obviously, managing a contact centre in the public sector comes with a raft of profound challenges when it comes to delivering high quality customer experience across so many areas to an audience that is so broad, the general public. So can you unpack the biggest barriers to great CX that you've seen throughout your journey?
Sure, and I think you've covered quite a lot of them already in your question there. Some of the significant barriers are the complexity and the multiple types of services that our teams have to navigate and deliver. You know, they could be dealing with anything from housing, homelessness, registrars, planning, licensing, which all has its own set of legislation, policies, procedures. So the team need to be able to help the public navigate those complex systems, but also deal in it with a caring and compassionate way, so that the skills that we have to attract to be able to deliver that, it's quite complex. I think one of the other challenges that we have is the drive for digital, and we need to be able to deliver, you know, easy, efficient, personalised services through our digital channels. But actually our customers are already using things like Netflix and Uber and Deliveroo, and the expectations and the standards that those organisations have set are really high. So we need to be able to deliver those types of experiences, but yet still stay close to the core of what local government is about.
Yeah, and what strategies are you adopting then to break down some of those challenges and ultimately provide deeper, more personal engagement with your communities?
Yeah, so a number of things that we've recently launched this year is really about making sure that we can deliver caring, empathetic services, especially to the most vulnerable. We've established 2 new teams. One is our care and support team. And that team is really designed to understand the vulnerabilities of the households within our communities and our organisations, but not just understanding them. It's also about meeting those needs and understanding the reasonable adjustments and additional support needs and interventions that we might need to put in place. Yeah. And we also have a customer advocacy team. And that really does what it says in the team. They advocate on behalf of the needs of our customers. They make sure that their queries and their requests are case managed right through to resolution, that throughout that their needs are respected and they're treated with real empathy and compassion. And then obviously we have to look at the digital problem as well, and we've been working with some partners to look at how we can introduce things like generative AI to make sure that we are making the best use of our resources, that they're efficient and they're really easy for our customers to navigate.
Yeah, also picking up on the AI component of your CX ambitions then, can you take us on a deep dive through your journey with this technology so far? Can you take us back to the beginning when you were first looking to introduce an AI use case and explain how you secured the mandate you had to embark upon such a transformation?
Yeah, we started this journey about a year ago. So AI wasn't as widely used in public sector and customer facing situations as it is now. Oh. So it was never really about a use case of using AI. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Westminster City Council was always a Conservative local authority until 2 years ago. and we're now a Labour administration. And as part of their manifesto commitments was a commitment to improve the reporting experience for our residents, our businesses and our visitors. So we had a really clear political mandate to be able to go out there and solve problems for our reporters. So that was really helpful. And we completed a really detailed discovery with our residents, our businesses, our visitors, but also our staff. And we spoke to over 500 users of the service to really understand what their pain points were, what their ambitions and the scale of their ambition when they're interacting with the council on digital channels. And that's really where the AI use case came out, because our residents were saying, currently, when I report something, I do all the work.
Yeah.
I give you all of the information, I complete all of the processes, and you then go and solve the problem. We don't have time for that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be great if we could just take a picture, and from the picture, you knew where we were, you knew what the issue was, and within less than 60 seconds, you had your report. So that was our vision for the reported experience, and that really came from our users. And that's where we then started talking to partners and suppliers to understand, did this technology actually exist?
Yeah, well, we'll pick up on the partner piece in a minute, but I just want to dive into the fact that introducing customer-facing generative AI comes with great responsibility, right? You need to build in rigorous protection against bias and hallucinations and establish absolute data security. Those responsibilities are even more critical and complex given your duties in the public domain. So with that in mind, what work did you do and what stakeholders did you involve at the outset to ensure that this transformation would be, careful, controlled and secure?
Yeah, sure. So we knew the problem that we wanted to solve. We knew how we wanted to solve that problem. But as you say, we're using the public's data,
Yep.
and it's really important that that's safe and secure. So it's really important that we have cyber by design. So we involve cyber security at the outset. We knew at the start this wasn't something we were going to be able to deliver entirely by ourselves. So when we were looking at a partner, we made sure that we chose one who was respected in the market, both in private and public sector, for implementing secure, safe, innovative systems, but actually ones that didn't really have any bias. And making sure that not only did we work with the supplier to implement it, but they helped upskill our existing teams as well. It was also really important that we started recruiting to the right skill sets, so AI engineers, data scientists, cloud engineers, but also upskilling our existing teams. We've got some great apprenticeship schemes. We have the Sparks program, and we have Tech Lions, and we've been really able to grow our own talent. I've got 2 of our apprentices currently tagging images for our next AI release, and that saved the council a significant amount of money.
Wow.
In terms of using bright, young, internal resources and capacity.
Yeah, that's great. Well, that tees up my next question, actually, because in adjacent to all that buy-in and alignment from across the organisation, another critical component behind any AI success story is building the right team that can drive and manage the micro initiatives that comprise the larger transformation. So you alluded to it there, but what are some of the things that you're doing to make sure that your staff and your teams have the right knowledge and skills they need to execute effectively?
I think it's probably important to note the journey that Westminster has been on in terms of our IT service. So we were 3 years ago, a traditional IT service. And a lot of the time we were being seen as a blocker to innovation and creation and development. And we decided that we would break down those siloed ways of working, and we moved more into a digital and innovation service so that our internal business partners could see us as a real supplier of success. So we started to build the capacity internally, and we're working now in multidisciplinary product teams. So we don't have that siloed approach. I have my user researchers, my service designers, my UX designers working hand in glove with the AI analysts, the engineers, the cloud specialists. And as I said, working with our apprentices to really upskill them in terms of being able to help with this new technology. But we have had to recruit. We have had to recruit new skill sets that we never had before within the organisation.
That's great. And then picking back up on the vendor selection process and how you went about bringing the right partners on board. It's obviously a process that requires a lot of detailed planning and constant monitoring. So can you walk us through the steps you took to ensure that your evaluations were all on point and that your streamlining process was consistent and considered from start to finish?
Yeah, we knew what we needed to do through the discovery. The discovery report was really clear in terms of what we wanted to deliver, how we wanted to transform the reported experience, but also the high expectations that our users had. We were slightly underwhelmed, I have to say, when we initially went out to market. We've got some great partners, but a lot of organisations felt that because we were a local authority, we had quite low ambitions and wanted to use low-code solutions, and they didn't really get the scale of our ambition. We then engaged with a Google partner, enquire, who really understood the use case. Within a number of weeks, they'd quickly spun up a prototype. That prototype wasn't exactly what we wanted, but it was something that we could build on and iterate into the product that we have today.
That's great. And was there anything about the vendor selection process that particularly surprised you? Or similarly, was there anything that you might have done differently if you had the opportunity to do it again?
I think what really surprised me was the view that local government wasn't really ready to use generative AI. So a lot of the vendors weren't providing that type of opportunity or solution in terms of the playbacks. And when we did go live, we actually didn't realise ourselves, but we were only 2% of organisations in the UK that had released customer-facing AI. So I think our ambitions were very ambitious, and particularly in local government.
Yeah, definitely. And is there any challenges that you think are specific to local government when it comes to implementing generative AI?
I think that really when you're comparing yourselves to the likes of Google, Deliveroo, Netflix, the challenge for me is how you deliver those real life experiences that might be registering a death, registering a birth, applying for housing. How can you deliver that same experience that our customers are used to in their everyday to-day life and apply that to your local government setting?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, pivoting now to your upcoming speaking session at the CCW Europe Summit, where you will be dissecting how generative AI can deliver value to enterprise CX. So as a preview to that discussion and to almost bookend everything that we've talked about so far, can you share some of the ways in which your AI project has delivered value for you to date?
Yeah, absolutely. The reported experience was mainly about driving those improved customer experiences, making sure that the reporting journeys were consistent, that they were easy, they were accessible, and that they were secure. But we've had efficiencies delivered throughout this process. Across the number of the reporting journeys, from start to finish, it was taken up to 15 minutes for users to submit a report because we were expecting them to do all of the work.
Yep.
With our first release with Waste, we initially got that down to 2 minutes 30 seconds. And over the last couple of weeks, with an update to the AI tool in the background, we've got that down to 84 seconds. And we're not stopping there. You know, we've got this ambition that our users set us at the very start to have a reporting experiences within 60 seconds, and that's where we really want to get to. We're currently working on our highways release. I never thought I would get excited about potholes and pavement damage, but here we are. So by the time we get to the event, we will have released our roads and pavement reporting experiences, as well as abandoned vehicles, noisy vehicles, etc.
Yeah, that tees up my next question, which is around scaling. Obviously, the value and the impact of any AI or digital transformation initiative depends on an organization's ability to continually scale it, right? It's not just a one and done initiative. So you sort of alluded to some things you're doing there, but how are you going to build on all the progress you've made so far?
The teams that we have created, so the reported multidisciplinary product team is long-lived. So we plan to make sure that we continually iterate and evolve the product. There's 26 categories, many subcategories that we need to complete in terms of the experience. But by the end of the year, we will have completed the majority of the existing reporting journeys. And as we continue with that work, we're still going back on the journeys that we've transformed and improving them even further. So we've had 2 releases of waste. We've had 2 releases of our landing page. But once we complete all of those journeys, we're looking at how we might scale it up across the rest of the council. So we have currently 2 portals. We have My Westminster and we have My Westminster Housing. The Report It World sits within My Westminster, and our users really want that Deliveroo type experience in terms of post-reporting. So they want to know when the report has been received. They want to know when we're on our way. We want to know when it's been completed. So we have a mission team that's very much focused on that post-reporting experience. And then we'll apply all of that learning to be able to then close down our housing portal and move all of those transactions into the one estate for all reporting type requests.
It sounds great. Lots of exciting work going on. And just switching back to the teams who are working closest with this technology, we talked before about sort of upskilling and the training that you're doing, but now that you have the technology up and running, how is it impacting their work on a day-to-day basis?
So in the contact centre, it's making it easier and quicker for them to be able to make reports on behalf of customers if they still choose to call one of our contact centres. Yeah. But what they can now see is those updates where previously they couldn't see an existing request. So they were generally pushed into making duplicate requests and duplicate reports, but now they can provide an update and they feel more empowered to be able to do that and give that information. So that's one benefit that we're seeing. But also in terms of our contact centre staff, we have some of them that are constantly fine-tuning chatbots. We have our apprentices who are currently learning how to train the image AI and categorize images. So it's benefiting them both in terms of efficiency, empowering them, giving them more knowledge, but actually making them more marketable because they've got new skills.
That's great. And last question to wrap us up then, Sarah. After the initial flurry of excitement with generative AI, there is a tangible sense of recalibration in the industry as business leaders begin to realize that introducing this type of technology is much easier said than done. So against that sentiment, and having successfully done so yourself, what would you say are the core elemental skills you need to implement a generative AI use case?
I think it's about really understanding the problem that you want to solve, where AI is best to be used. I think it's also making sure that you engage your information security at the very start. You've got the governance, you've got your AI practices in place, and that you're also checking constantly the security, the types of skills that you need in the organisation. You've got to really be forward thinking in terms of your recruitment plans and your budgetary spend, in terms of the new roles that you need and the new skills. So it's not something that you go into lightly. Yeah. You've got to make sure that it's value for money, particularly in the public sector, but actually the benefits that it can bring and the improved experiences for those people that live, work and visit our wonderful city are endless.
Great way to finish. Sarah, thank you so much. Thank you for giving us some great insights and takeaways on your journey with AI today.
Thank you.
So that brings to a close this episode of In Conversation with CCW Europe. But please do stick around on the CCW Europe website and social media channels, where you can find so much great content related to the customer experience and customer management. Thank you so much again to Sarah for joining me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, goodbye.